It's Saturday of the New Year's weekend, and if you're not watching football all weekend long, you might want to look into AI because Bill Gates is predicting a massive technology boom from AI, and he sees it coming soon. Joining us right now on our Saturday Morning Experts program is Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group. Luis, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Mark. And, happy New Year almost.
That's
We're
right.
Almost there.
Hope you guys had a nice Christmas. We did.
We did, yeah. We had our daughter and her family was down here, including my granddaughter, and Alice and I got to play on her little gaming device. She kicked my butt because I don't do games and she does.
Right.
But it was a lot of fun. She got a karaoke machine, so there's a lot of singing all day long, and it just had a great time and enjoyed the holiday weekend.
That sounds really great. Hey, looking at this story on ZDNet from Bill Gates, talking about a massive technology boom from AI coming soon, and what I thought was really interesting about it was that Gates is saying that the industrialized countries like the U.S. and Europe are going to be leaders in this, but we're only going to have about an 18 to 24 month lead over the developing world because this is going to be very much like what we called leapfrog technologies. Remember, you and I talked about this years ago when in some of the developing nations in Europe that didn't have radio telephony for their telephone systems, that they decided not to go ahead and build landline technology because of the cost of doing that, but they just jumped full force right into cellular networks and making sure that there was really great cellular coverage throughout like an entire country like Ethiopia. And I thought that was really interesting, and it looks like we're seeing the same kind of thing come along with AI here, where in the developing world, they're going to adopt this very quickly because they see a lot of potential for their economies from this.
That's exactly right. Bill is a veteran of technology boom of the 80s and 90s and 2000s, so he can see into the future, and he's always been something of a visionary when it comes to predicting the direction of what technology is going to be in the future. One of the famous stories about Bill Gates is that he was famous for taking these 3-week retreats where he would go off into his family's cabin in Washington State and take with him all of this material that other programmers and developers had given him about new directions for their software. And then he'd come back and after gestating on it for 3 weeks, make decisions on it. And after one of these trips, he came back and he looked at his team and he said, as of today, we are an internet company. The internet is the future. This was at a time when the internet was just brand new. I mean, it was like CompuServe and AOL, and mostly it was being used for really hokey websites. So he had the foresight to see that the internet was going to be fundamental to the future of Microsoft. And he now sees that AI is going to be fundamental to the future of all technology. And to your point, AI is one of those things that doesn't depend on a lot of infrastructure that's built out. It's cloud-based, so anybody, anywhere can use it. And so even though the Western world will be taking the lead in developing that technology, countries in Africa and South America that we generally don't think of as at the forefront of technological revolutions, they're going to be not far behind us, as you pointed out.
And that could be really interesting for how economies develop and the challenges that the industrialized economies are going to face in this, because obviously, in a lot of respects, for the developing world, their advantage is always that they are the lower cost source for different types of technologies. And so this could put some real pressure on the industrialized world to figure out how do you keep people employed, how do you sustain your economies when people halfway across the world have access to the same technology and they can leverage that to produce at a lower cost than, say, countries here on this continent or in Europe.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, to me, what AI is going to do and the boom of cloud technology is it's going to open up the world to geniuses that we might not have discovered because they happen to be living in a third world country or in a country that doesn't have the infrastructure to support their development. Now they're going to have access to all of this stuff and be able to develop their own selves to the point where we might find geniuses all over the world that we might not otherwise have seen because of how AI and cloud technology is developing.
And all due to high-speed internet.
Exactly.
What Bill Gates talked about, when he came back from his retreat and said, well, Microsoft is now an internet company and not producing stuff. And if you think back to the early days of upgrading an OS system where you would go to like a computer store in town and you would buy, first you bought floppies, right? The 5-inch floppies. Then you got the 3.5-inch little drives. And then after that, CD-ROMs. And that was how you upgraded your system. And that was pretty much the way things worked in the world of dial-up internet with maybe 24,000 1,000 kilobit per second download speeds. But everything changed when DSL technology came in and you started being able to have 10 times that speed or 100 times that speed in the internet. And then all of a sudden, you think of all the money that was spent on packaging and distribution for software and other products. Now everything it started going online to people's websites, and you'd pay online and you'd download it, and that's how you would install it. And we see that today as elegantly simple and a brilliant way to do things, sometimes forgetting what we went through just a short 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, just think of the world has changed so much in the last decade that it's amazing to me how we take it for granted. They're just like, oh, okay, this is here now. Right. And we just kind of roll with it. But, that's what I think the future is going to continue to be like. It's, this accelerated development of technology and of AI leading the way. It's going to fundamentally change the way that we do business, the way that we interact with people, the way we collaborate. But I also think it's just going to happen so subtly that we're just going to find ourselves embracing it without thinking how fundamentally the world has shifted.
Exactly. Hey, one last thing that we want to mention to people, too, is that coming up on the Monday program, we're going to talk about a free program available through IBM's website to get people started on AI, so that if you really don't know much about AI or you know a little bit about it and you want to get further up to speed and get some free training, IBM is going to offer up to 10 hours of free AI training on their website. And Louis and I will have that story for you all day on New Year's Day here on Power Talk Radio.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be, for those of you that want to learn more about AI, there's some good training out there that's free.
Louis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, with us today on Power Talk. Online, it's alvareztg.com, and the X handle is @AlvarezTG. And Louis, the toll-free number for the I-Team.
Give us a call at 866-78-I-Team. That's 866-784-8326.
All right. Thank you, Louis. Happy New Year to you and everybody at the Alvarez Technology Group and all of our listeners, and we'll chat again Monday.
Absolutely. You too, my friend.